Parents of pupils who wrote this year's basic education certificate examination are waiting anxiously to know which senior high schools their wards will be placed in. And the placement of pupils follows the WAEC release of last week's provisional result of the 2014 BEC, and out of which we had 420,188 candidates from some 12,000 schools writing the examination, who are likely to get access, and 11,759 candidates from 337 schools have had their result also withheld. Now, for those who have passed, the parents would want to know which schools their wards will be placed. And we have the National Coordinator for the Computerized School Selection and Placement System, George Boateng, is my guest for the morning. George Atta Boateng, how are you?
Fine, sir. Okay,
nice meeting you. But more importantly, how is this year's placement going to be like? How many candidates do you have so far?
Officially, we have, from WAEC, we have 420,000 students. And then we also have students who deferred admission for one reason or the other, about 1,000 students. And then we also have foreign students coming in. So if you put everything together, it's going to be around 422,000. So we are going to place 422,000 candidates.
How many spaces do you have?
We're still taking in vacancies. And vacancies, come from all over, from public schools, private schools, vocational and technical schools. As it is now, virtually every day we take in vacancies, so I can't be exact on that, but we have around 405,000 spaces available for. So most of the students will go to school.
You have 405,000
vacancies, spaces.
Space.
Yeah.
Empty chairs.
Empty chairs for
placement. But you have 420,000
students.
That brings you a deficit of 15,000.
15,000, but we're still going because we're taking in more. Most of the private schools have not even declared. So we're giving them up to next weekend, and we'll have more.
Aren't you shortchanging? You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're going to just slash. Some people are off because definitely when you place them somewhere, they're not going to like the schools and likely not go to school.
Oh no,
that's a very unfair thing.
No. The placement is a policy running. Okay, the policy makes it clear that we cannot use your number grades to place you. We use your raw scores, the scores that you obtain during the examination. And it takes into consideration 6 subjects, 4 of which are constant. We take across board. We call them the core subjects. We have math, science, English, and social studies. And then we go in and take additional 2, your best 2, out of 5 subjects, which could be ICT or Ghanaian language or BDT or RME. Then we add to the 4, making 6. So we go into the system and we identify the marks you obtain in each of these subjects. And that is what we used for the placement. So as granted that we have 2 students with aggregate 6, one has a total of 401, the other has a total of 400, and they want to go to, let's say, St. James Senior High, and St. James can only take 1 student, then the one with the bigger mark will get admission.
I believe St. James is just a hypothetical.
It's just a hypothetical.
It's not a real school.
It's a real school, but I'm just using it in this instance, yes.
Because I wanted to ask, why is that you didn't use Infante Payment?
The
difficulty with parents is
I have over
many of them
schools.
Would want to go to the big schools. We have Infante Payment, Bishop Herman, we have Achimota, Presec, Mauli, we have Pope Jones, etc.
Yes.
But
I mean, these are traditional schools with names, and most of the time students will want to go to school with names and say, oh, I'm a product of this school or that school. I mean, it's just not even senior high schools, even universities. You always want to go to places with names. But I think the emphasis should be on the output. When the student comes to the school, is the student going to qualify to go into the university at the end of the day? And that is what parents should be looking at. If you look at the WAEC league table, every year they bring out the results of the schools that have done well. They rank them from 1 to about 200. So you know that this school is doing this well. And you realize that even within that category, schools with names, most of them do not even appear in the first 10. You see, so the emphasis should be on the students' performance at the end of the day. And schools that you would say traditionally don't have names are doing very well in that regard.
Now, parents have had a difficulty with the way sometimes the postings have been done. Some have had cause to complain about their wells doing well, but not being posted to the schools of their choice, even though legitimately they have the right aggregates, etc.
That is what I'm saying. We don't use the aggregates. We use the raw marks.
Even though they have the raw scores.
Very good.
Even though they have the raw score, they still encounter some problems.
No. But the issue is this. You know, when we were in school, you know that there's always a range for the marking. If, let's say, we decide that
we were not using raw scores.
From 90 to 100.
Using aggregates.
No, we were using aggregates. And that is the problem. And that is because even in those days, let me use this school, for example, Holy Child. Holy Child, as it is now, they have about 2,000 students wanting to go into that school alone. The school can only take 300 students.
You mean averagely you have 2,000 students
who have applied?
Who applied
this year?
Who have applied this year?
This year, chosen to go to that school. 2,000 students, and the school can only take 300. Last year, if we look at the data we used last year, we had about 2,800 applying to go there, and almost 800 out of the 2,000 had aggregate 6.
Had aggregate 6.
So in the olden days, how were the heads looking into the system to find out that this grade, because they were not using the raw scores. But if you go into the raw scores, you find out that we have 6 and we have 6. Because like I started, you can have a range from 90 to 100 is grade 1. Somebody will score 94 is 1. Another person will score 96 is 1.
Someone will score 90 and it's 1.
And it's 1. But the scores are different. But they are all 1. So on your WAEC result slip, you see English is 1. But meanwhile, maybe you scored 90. Somebody has a better score, which is about 95. So we put all these scores together, and that would determine whether you qualify. And the computer ranks them according to the marks from the highest to the lowest. So if in this case, Holy Child taking 300 is going to range them from the highest mark to the lowest 300, and the machine will cut. So
who does the rating in terms of? You do it?
No.
The system does it.
We have over 420,000 students. That's what I'm saying. It's a policy that has been put together by the Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service and some stakeholders. And it's the policy we use in placing students. The policy has been coded. So it's the computer that runs the system. It takes only 1 hour, believe me, to do the placement. So if it were done manually, you don't expect us to.
No, I didn't say. I've been there. I've gone to take pictures and things.
Okay.
I know how it works.
Yeah.
Yes, because I've been close to your former, Mr. Opong, your former coordinator.
Okay.
So
My predecessor,
yeah.
yes.
But then the traditional schools that tend to have a lot more of the traffic. How then do you hope to address that level of traffic? You have mentioned Holy Child. So in generality,
I think that's why we have, in the past, the way they categorized when they were doing the registration, the way they categorized the schools, we could have a student could choose Wesley Girls, Achimota, Holy Child, all the top schools for the 6 choices. But these days we don't do it like that, because we put all those schools, I think we call them the most subscribed schools, about 82 of them, in one category.
82.
82.
The most subscribed schools are
82. So you can only choose 1 school from that category, you see, and then you choose 3 other schools from other categories. So that is one aspect, and it's helped a great deal. But you have 4 choices. If you miss out on the Holy Childs and the Wesley Girls or the Achimotes, you still have 3 other choices. And you go for your second choice, your third choice, the 4th choice. So the system will take you through all these choices. If you miss out on your first one, then you go to the second, then the third, and the 4th. If you miss out on all your 4 choices, it doesn't mean you failed.
Then that's where you go to Fanchinin Course in high school.
No.
But that one you decide.
That's where we do the second placement.
That's where you decide.
No, we don't decide. We do the second placement. And before we even do the second placement, we identify the schools with vacancies. We send the list out to all the districts and regions.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You decide.
No, if we decide, it means that
No, the
basically
system-
we have to choose for the student.
Yes, you choose the system chooses for the based on where there's vacancy
No,
to the nearest.
that is what I
place
want
of
to
choice.
correct. We don't do. What we rather do is that we send out the list with vacancies. So if you don't have a school, you go to the district or the regional education office or even the GES headquarters, and then you fill. You choose the four schools again, additional 4 schools.
It makes it cumbersome.
It doesn't. It's very easy. It's very easy.
Try
and
it.
then
You have
we
your
do a-
child who has finished junior high school and the result is out, and he or she doesn't get the 4 choices, and you now have to be trekking educational officers in the region and filling out forms. You try it and see how hectic it is.
No, it's not just your district or regional. You can even go to your former JHS. These days, information travels in seconds.
That's what you say.
No, that's what it is. You and I know that information
The
travels
system
in
as it
seconds.
is, and I was taking some comments from parents before coming on air. The parents are complaining that it seems quite laborious, even though it looks very simple, for them to be going up down the hill, trying to find out which schools of choice that their wards have been placed in, and especially makes it even more difficult for the parents when perhaps the schools of choice have not been the places where they've had their wards being placed in.
I think first of all, we have so many processes that the student or mediums that the student can find out as to where he or she was placed. The first is texting. The moment we release the results, we give out a short code that you can easily text and find out. You text with your index number, and then the school that you've been placed in will appear on the phone. And that is where you start making preparations for. Because at the end of the day, we also have to print every school's placement report and send to them so that when you go to the school,
They know that they are expecting these
they are
students.
expecting these students. So these
Are you still having difficulties with some of the top schools, and you have categorized them as 82, and even that one, I'm sure you've even ranked them based on the 82. There are some up, some down, right?
Oh no.
Okay, 82
is 82.
Fine, they're block.
I think it's arranged according to the
Alphabetic.
region, where
blah
you
blah
work,
blah,
and the
Now,
district.
do you still have difficulties with the heads of those schools thinking that, well, they need to have certain protocol, at least some numbers, either old boys or some patrons, etc.
I've always found it difficult answering.
No, I want you to be real
Yeah,
with me,
but-
because these are real things. For
Yes.
example, if I went to a certain school, or per my standing in society, I'm accorded a certain respect, and I know it's an African thing though, but even in the States, etc., we have people who have children going to Stanford, etc., Oxford, and I mean, those are prestige. But the point is, we have to be real.
Yeah.
Do you still have those pressures? I'm not saying that you give the opportunity. I'm saying, do you have those pressures,
I
George?
think the pressures, the heirs will be the best people to talk about these things. But when it comes to my secretariat, we don't accept protocol. In fact, we cannot even do protocol.
I'm not talking about protocol, though. I'm saying, do you leave certain
No,
spaces
we
and say
cannot.
5? We have given you 5 in Fantipim.
No.
Yama won 5. So 5 at this school. 5. Then we have Achimota. Then we have Bishop Herman or Mauli. Then we have Pope Joe's. Then we have the Yasantua. We have St. Mary's here in Accra, etc. Do you give 5? Do you give?
What we do is we take vacancies before we do placement. Each and every head is required to submit his or her declared vacancies. You can take 50 for science, you can take 40 for business, you can take 20 for agri. We put them together. If the school can take 400, it's fed into the computer, and that's it. I cannot reduce the number you have given me. You understand? I cannot reduce the number you've given me. So when it comes to my secretariat, whatever they declare that we should work with, that's what we work with. But as to what happens at their end, I'll tell you, I may not be the best person to explain to you.
I like you. I like you, George.
I like you too.
Okay, but there's one thing that the system or the center has always not been very clear about. The thing about the perimeter in a jurisdiction or a district by which you could admit students, and we know it's 30%. Is that still in force?
It's still in force.
So meaning what? Give us a scenario. So let's say take a place like Cape Coast, or let's say Ho.
Okay, no, let me take Accra.
No,
we have
take Cape Coast or Ho. They're outside Accra.
Okay, no, the 30% basically restricts the students within a specific catchment area, which is a 16-kilometer radius. So we have Achimota. I don't know the schools in their locations in Ho. Or,
that's why you want to use Accra.
That's why I want to use Accra. Because
let me help you in Cape Coast. Perhaps you know that's 30 kilometers.
16-kilometer
16-kilometer radius. Okay, yes. So let's take up to Mankasim. Let's take for example.
Yeah.
Will not be really Mankasim. Perhaps maybe Sopon.
Sopon. So Sopon.
Or Pomanse.
Yeah. So if you are within Sopon, it means that you can apply.
So from Cape Coast to Sopon, all the people around.
Would that be 16 kilometers?
Yes, from Cape Coast to Sopon.
Is 50, okay. So as long as it's within, we have the 30% school register. So we know, if we take in Vanzemai, for instance, we know all the schools that fall within the 16-kilometer radius. You go to Wesley Girls, we know all the schools that fall within that category, that radius. So it's about the location of the school, of the senior high school, and the location of the junior high school that the student can apply to. But it's still in force because it's a policy. So at the time of registration, you choose to be part of the 70% or you choose to be part of the 30%. So if you are for the 30%, it means you are restricting your senior high school placement within the 16-kilometer radius because there's a school there that you want to go into. So it's still in force. So if, like we were saying, Holy Child can take 300 students, it means 30% of the 300 is allocated for those junior high schools.
Is there a possibility where, like I was saying, the headmasters or the heads perhaps may keep some 5B somewhere and tell you we have only 295?
Honestly, I don't know.
That's not your business.
That's not my business.
You try not to make it your business.
But we also try to make sure that they wholly declare.
They wholly declare. Okay. So, now we have to open the phone lines because we need to get practical. And we know that many of you parents now are waiting for those wards of yours to be, how do you call it, to be placed in senior high schools. And so now we have the coordinator here. Please ask questions and give us scenarios as well. So the phone lines are 0302-211-96102. And so please give us those calls anywhere in the country. Oh, I've started hearing them in my ears. George, you're in trouble. So have you started the posting?
We having some few challenges with regards to the vacancies because we want to be certain.
You haven't gotten everybody's.
You haven't got yet. So we are still taking, and then we are still also doing corrections on the student's profile. A student may be, a male choosing a female school, or a female choosing a male school, or a normal healthy person choosing a visually impaired school or something. So we are doing all these corrections, but I know that by the end of the month we should release the placement results.
Yes. Okay, so now we have Juliet. Is it Juliet? Okay, Rachel.
Yes.
Rachel, you're calling us from Tamale.
Yes, please.
Do you have a ward who is awaiting placement?
Yes, please.
Okay, so now give us your difficulty.
In fact, I want to make an inquiry.
Okay, please do.
Is the placement out already?
Okay, please stay on. I know you're watching, so we'll answer that. Is the placement?
The placement is not out. It will be out by the end of the month.
Okay. Next caller. Hello. Hello. Okay, and so from the next. So where would you move on next?
Like I said, we're still doing all these corrections and taking in more vacancies. So hopefully by the end of the month, we should release the placement results. Yeah. We should release the placement results by the end of the month.
How would you resolve the difficulty that parents will be having with their parents not being placed in the schools of their choice? And how do you communicate that to them? I mean, just on the physical side.
I think it's quite, you sit in the office, I think you are familiar with the whole, and then a parent will come crying because the daughter or the son wouldn't eat, those things. It's quite, but I think it's also our duty to explain to them that it's not just about the school, the school's name. It's about the school's performance. You see, so they shouldn't be hooked onto. I mean, there are people you explain, they understand, but there are some, no matter what you say, they won't understand. But it's not my duty to do what they want, because it's not by preference. It's by.
We have Collins on the line. Collins, where are you calling from? Okay, we seem to have lost Collins. Yeah. You were saying something?
Yeah, so there are some, no matter what explanation you offer, they will still not agree. And there are some who even defer admission for that particular year and may still want to do it again next year because of, the following year because of these things. So we can't do away with that. But the fact of the matter is every placement we do is dependent on the student's performance. That is it. How the student performed, and then the space available for the student to go.
Abdullah.
Hello.
A very good morning to you. Where are you calling from, Abdullah?
Please, I'm reaching you from Yendi.
Okay, please go ahead. You have a son or a daughter who will be placed?
I'm a teacher, and my students have just received the results.
Okay.
I heard the coordinator said that when they have to do the placement, they take much concentration on the overall score of 6 subjects that take 4 core and 2 electives.
Yes.
And then I have a problem over there. Assuming a student, who had a problem, a 4 core, maybe one of the 4 cores or 2 4 cores, maybe a student have had 7 in English, but I have made better what we call it, score the other 2 electives, and then adding up the overall score of the student who had a grade 7 in English. His overall score oversees someone who haven't had any problem in the core and no problem in the 2 other electives, but the score, the overall score, is not, it's lesser to the overall score of the one who is having English 7 in English. So when this problem happens, who are they going to choose? Or who would be given a placement? Is it the one who's having 7 in English, and the one whose overall score is higher than someone who's not having any problem at all? Maybe there's no core problem. Maybe let's take it at 5, 5, 5, 5, 8, 6. That will be 30. So who is going to be pleased?
Okay. It will be answered for you. Sorry. We have Richard from Hohwe. And Richard, we take yours. You are the last person.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I would like to know, I'm also a teacher in one of the schools, in one of the secondary schools in Hohwe. I would like to know the 30%, how is it administered? We want to know how would they be sure that the headmaster will be able to give the 30% to the catchment area, the 15-kilometer radius issue that we have. I just want us to be very sure on that. Because students complain to us all the time that they have registered, they have picked the catchment area, but the placement team, they've not gotten it. How do we go about all these things? That's what I want to say.
Okay, thank you very much, Richard.
I think the first one, he raised an interesting point. The policy puts so much emphasis on the 4 subjects, 4 core subjects: English, Maths, Science, Social Studies. So like he is saying, if you get grade 7 in English or Maths or Science or Social Studies, the system would not even place you in the first place. You are rejected. That is the policy. If you get grade 7 in either of the 4 core subjects, you are displaced. The computer will not even place you. You understand what I'm saying? So that is how the policy works. So the computer would not even attempt to place you, let alone look at your other raw marks. That is how the system is. But as to the 30%, when we finish with the placement, we divide them into two. We have the 70%, we have the 30%. So any headmaster will see that maybe Fancy Mine, for instance, and knows that Fancy Mine 30%, these are the schools within, the schools' names are there. The report that we give to the heads, we have the student's index number, the student's name, where the student attended junior high school, the student's raw mark total.
All that is indicated.
All that is indicated on the placement form. So the head knows where you are coming from. It's not that we're going to put somebody, no. The head,
it's not as if you are enjoining the head to recommend anybody.
No.
The thing is already there.
It's already
based on
there.
the scores you have received or the results you received from the West African Examination Council.
That's it.
Okay. Okay, so we wish you well, and we hope
Thank
that
you.
all the headaches that you tend to suffer at this time of the year will be over.
Pray for us. Thank you.
When are they supposed to go to school?
I think GES would officially come up with the
When do you hope to finish the placement?
Placement is not an event, it's a process. Because as long as we have so many students choosing schools with few vacancies and few students choosing schools with so many vacancies, we cannot do it one-off because the mapping is not one-to-one. So it has to take time. But we hope to release the first placement by the end of this month, and then maybe give ourselves 2 weeks to do the second one, and then we go from there.
All right,
but
George.
This year we have vacancies, so we expect about 99.5 placement, and that I can
George
guarantee.
Boateng. And George Atta-Boateng is the National Coordinator for the Computer School Selection and Placement System. And I know many of you parents are waiting to know where your wards who have completed JHS will be placed as far as their entry into senior high schools are concerned. And so please do stay on, stay glued on this very channel. We'll bring you the latest update as far as this is concerned. But in the meantime, we're taking a break, and when we come back, we'll take a wrap